Meeting's order. Everyone, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Davis,
Here.
Councilman Mike Cooley,
Here.
Councilman Corey Oxford,
Here.
Councilman Bud Barker,
Here.
and Gary Floyd.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum. We'll move on. Has everybody had a chance to look at the agenda? Any addition or correction to the agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as read?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the last meeting, which was January 21st. Yeah. Anyway, has everybody had a chance to go through the minutes that were prepared? It was pretty short, so. The chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and approve the minutes from last January 21st meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to approval of the bills. We had deposits in the amount of $119,708.41. Accounts payable in the amount of $38,416. Transmittals in the amount of $24,114.35. Payroll in the amount of $47,518.06. Is there any questions or discussion? Do I have a motion to approve the bill and financial report as read?
I'll make the motion to approve the bills and financial record.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to correspondence.
We got a thank you card from Benson Brothers. That's who we bought this street room from. It says it has been a pleasure serving you, and we want you to know we appreciate your business. We always do everything possible to merit the confidence you have placed in us.
Okay,
And we got an anonymous letter. It says, good afternoon. I am writing to you, City Council, in regard to proposing a planned solution for a safety ride program in the city of Saratoga, Wyoming and Carbon County. Reduce the number of driving accidents related to driving under the influence and DUI violations, and to promote public safety in Carbon County and the town of Saratoga. As you are aware, there is not a taxi or Uber available in the town of Saratoga. I very unfortunately recently was arrested for a first DUI and wish with everything in me that night had never happened. I am aware of my limits and would have called a taxi or Uber that night. In a moment of wanting to get home, I drove and I found myself on an unfamiliar road. I looked down at my maps to see where I was, and at that moment I veered off the road, hit 2 fence posts, and my car ended up in an irrigation ditch. I was able to get out of the car and I was physically unharmed. God was absolutely looking out for me that night. I called in for help. I thank God to the end of the earth no one was hurt. Since this has occurred, I have reached out to the city of Sheridan to advocate for safety for the city of Saratoga and Carbon County. Sheridan has a safe rides program in place. I spoke with Sarah Benavides in regard to how they structure their safety ride program and thought it would be a beneficial outline for Saratoga to copy to help keep the roads and public at a higher level of safety and reduce the number of accidents as well as DUIs in Carbon County. Here is how they have established their safety ride program. The city of Sheridan safety ride program is fully funded by the liquor dealer. The city was able to have bars and restaurants with a liquor license get on board, offering a driving service that provides patrons a safe way home to get home, should there be a situation where a patron should not be driving. The bar or restaurant purchases a ticket book of $350 with 25 tickets in each booklet. The book of tickets has a carbon copy, so that establishment keeps one copy of the ticket, and the taxi or Uber driver keeps one copy of the ticket and submits an invoice to the city at the end of the month, and then are paid for the number of rides they give. The patron is charged $5 for the ticket or given to for free. The taxi driver charges $12 per ride, and that is what they are paid by the city for completing the Safe Ride Home. They charge an additional $1 or whichever amount would be agreed upon for a longer distance. The city gains a small amount of financial and the bars and restaurants gain in knowing that they are promoting public safety and reducing accidents and DUIs. Thank you for considering this request as a potential solution to reduce the number of DUI cases in the city of Saratoga and to promote safety for the community.
Open for discussion.
That's a good idea if you can find someone that'll do it. Joe used to do it. I don't know what happened that he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know either.
What I understand is that his insurance got too expensive. And that's why he quit doing it. But
Okay,
I think if you contacted all the bars and say, does everyone want to chip in $20 a month or something to pay for his insurance, that seems like that could be a solution. And I don't know if he's still interested in doing it, but when he quit, I believe his insurance got too expensive.
but what my thought on it is, I don't disagree with the idea, but is that the town's responsibility? Wouldn't that be up to the bar owners and liquor stores and everything to get together and decide to do something like this? Is how I look at it.
Yeah,
Any other discussion?
that how it should be. It's a good idea, like I said, but that what you say is right too. That should be up to the bars, liquor establishments and everything.
Chuck.
McCall wants to talk.
Oh, McCall.
Is there a record on how many DUIs the police departments give each month to the public safety issue?
I'm sure there probably is.
We could pull the stats. I don't know if ours should even be monthly lately. We haven't had. For a couple of years ago, it was multiple DUIs a month, and now it's got back to this. Actually, we get in. Most of the DUIs around here come from crashes that occur outside of town.
From the sheriff's department or the,
Yeah, highway patrol.
Highway patrol.
Response. We did one for, just a few weeks ago, we did one out behind Sandy Beach Road for an AOA for county, because they couldn't get to it.
Anything else? Okay, well, the council will take that under advisement. There's no more discussion. Seeing none, we'll move on to items from the public, and we have a past council member Kathy Beck and Rochelle Swanson on suicide.
John Nelson.
Oh, I forgot that. We'll have to do that.
Do you want me to sit down?
No, you're fine, Kathy. I'll back up for that. It wasn't put on the agenda. It was a late handoff.
Okay,
That's why I got missed.
well, I didn't see John on here. Good evening, Mayor and council members. Hey, Rachel and I are here tonight to talk to you a little bit about the Carbon County Prevention Network. It's been a few months since we've had some updates, and so I'd like to come more regularly to give you some updates and some opportunities for the community. I wanted to introduce Rachel. Rachel joined us. We opened up a position when the fiduciary organization was moved from Big Brothers and Sisters to Carbon County Public Health. So they took over that contract. They're just responsible for overseeing the funds from the state. And they opened up a position. Rachel was hired part-time and she's been doing a great job communicating with the community. It's a large county and she's covering quite a bit. She still works with Tracy Young, who's come in previously and talked to us about prevention opportunities. But we really just wanted to get some information in front of you and remind folks in the community what the public health and that area of the Carbon County Prevention Network, what the program does. So essentially, Carbon County Prevention Network is dedicated to fostering healthy and thriving communities within Carbon County through a comprehensive range of prevention services. So the focus is suicide prevention, underage drinking prevention, addiction support, and particularly with substance use and gambling, and then committed to promoting responsible alcohol consumption and effective tobacco and vaping cessation programs. So we work with all ages of folks. We're continually providing opportunities for training for folks in suicide prevention, and then also folks who work with young people in the communities. It can be in the school, but also within businesses and churches and other organizations, volunteer organizations, where people come in contact with young people. But also suicide prevention affects all of us. We've all been in some way affected by that, all of us of all ages. So we'd like to provide some opportunities for folks to learn more about it and to destigmatize suicide in that way, so that we can sit down and talk to one another more openly about things that are difficult. If folks are interested in getting involved with the Carbon County Prevention Network, there are several reasons you may want to attend. You can voice your concerns. This is your opportunity to express what prevention topics you believe should be prioritized in our community. You can learn about prevention efforts and get insights into the planned initiatives and how they aim to make a difference in our community. Collaborate and connect, meet like-minded individuals who are passionate about making a positive impact in Carbon County, and anyone can attend. Our focus audience is usually educators, students, parents, community leaders, and all residents of Carbon County who are interested in contributing to a safer and healthier community. So we included in the packet this information, this summary that I'm giving verbally, but we'll also be hanging flyers so people can check things out here. Hopefully we can hang some flyers and around town here in Saratoga, Encampment, Riverside, at the schools, at the churches. And if anybody on the council is interested, or anybody in the community is interested, we meet the first or the second Monday of every month. And we found that the virtual meetings are really effective. So one is in person and one is a call-in that you can do on Zoom that is sponsored by the Carbon County Prevention Network. We meet 5:30 to 6:30 every other month. So we meet once a month, the second Monday, but every other month is virtual. So the next in-person meeting will be March. So the next one is going to be a virtual call-in. So there's some information here, as well as our phone numbers and emails if you want to contact us directly. Those will be on the flyers as well. You get a hold of Rachel or me. The next upcoming opportunity, the virtual one that I mentioned, is a whole session on a program called Man Therapy. According to Wyoming Vital Statistics Services, men die by suicide at almost 4 times the rate of women and represent 80% of all suicides in Wyoming. And those statistics are based on numbers that came in from 2004 to 2016. So there is a significant impact on our community, on the people that we know, our family members, people we care about, our friends. And it's just something that maybe is not, maybe we kind of cowboy up about things. And so we don't talk as openly about our weaknesses or when we're struggling, when we're having difficulties. So this program was created and built to provide opportunity for men to connect and for us to train folks on how to work with people and support one another.
So man therapy comes from like a very comical standpoint.
Yes.
Instead of just, very serious, it's a kind of a fun thing for people to look into, and it's not just straightforward this and that, but it's fun.
Yeah, anecdotes, and they do, it doesn't make light of the topic, but it definitely approaches it in a way where you can be not so serious and a little silly. I got good comics and things. Anyway, there's I put the URL there on the flyer. That'll be available too. So when we hang these things up, that's coming up Tuesday, February 11th. It's an hour meeting. You can go into higher ed website, and then they'll have a link there into their Facebook, and you can access it a couple of ways. So that's 12 to 1 on Tuesday, February 11th. That's a virtual meeting. And then our last thing that we wanted to talk about is sources of strength. I know I'm reading a lot of this, but I didn't want to mess up. This is an evidence-based program. And the mission of this Sources of Strength is to prevent suicide by increasing help-seeking behaviors and promoting connections between peers and caring adults. Talk a little bit about sources of strength, just what your experience has shown.
So it's a very upstream prevention program, which means we're trying to see what we can do upstream before our people are falling into the water and in crisis. So you really focus on messages of hope, help, and strength, and really try and stay away from messages of like sadness, shock, and trauma. And it's a very playful, there's a lot of games that played, some very positive messaging campaigns that go out. It's generally implemented within a school district. At this point, we're trying to do it community-wide. And with that, we're looking for organizations, businesses, people interested in becoming a part of this and becoming mentors within our community. And then from there, we would build a group of peer leaders, which would be our youth. There's studies that youth are 4% more likely to go to their peers and talk about their feelings and maybe their suicidal thoughts. And so these peer leaders would do the work within our community, supported by adult advisors. It wouldn't cost our community any money. The Prevention Network has funds to pay for this, and
Yeah. And we've included the link to Sources of Strength, and we'll be putting up flyers as well. And I would encourage anybody to just check it out. It's evidence-based. There are resulting statistics showing that where they've implemented this program, they've seen increase in improvement in relationships in the young people and a decrease in suicidal tendencies and treatment.
and 29% decrease actually from a new study that they just did.
Right. And the really interesting thing about that, likewise with demand therapy, is the approach is building relationships and connections with folks, identifying your strengths, identifying your resources, the positive things in life, so that you establish this sense of self-worth and self-confidence, so that if you're in a place where you're feeling weak or down, you feel more confident in sharing that with somebody else. So some really good programs are upcoming, and I'd like to make this a regular thing so that I come in at least once a month and let you all know what's happening and what's coming up. And again, our information is here. Both of our emails and phone numbers are here, so you can text us or call us or email us with any questions.
Question, is Tracy Young still in there?
She is, she's still out of Laramie.
Mhm.
When we changed this position, when it transitioned over to Health Department, Public Health Department, when they took over, they reassessed sort of the reach and the resources that we needed. So they looked at potentially 2 part-time positions because the county's so hard to get to. So we had her mainly covering, she's continuing to cover mainly Rollins and Bags and Sinclair, Hannah a little bit. So we're trying to reach everybody, but we still work with her. So everything, the program is still in cooperation with her role there. So it's a part-time kind of thing. Rachel is the preschool teacher, runs the program, the Head Start program over
There, it's actually like Excel.
and CountMet. So folks on that end of the valley know her really well. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We got to back up. We have a little bit more correspondence. Like I said, it wasn't on the agenda. It was a drop off. And I overlooked it. So even go on.
Junk and derelict vehicles in town right of ways. Dear Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you are aware there has been a noticeable increase in the number of derelict vehicles and the amount of junk being piled with the public rights of way of Saratoga. This has been an ongoing issue and it has come before the town council on several prior occasions. Nonetheless, it appears that we are once again at a point where action needs to be taken. Not to single out any individual offenders, but as an example, I would direct your attention to the 100 block and 500 block of West Elm Avenue. Elm Avenue is of particular concern because it is traveled frequently by guests and visitors attending events at our schools and community center. As a proud resident of this wonderful town, I kindly ask you and the council take action on this matter. My request includes the use of public resources to address the problem if necessary. To assist you in this request, please allow me to reference the Saratoga Municipal Code, Title 8 Health and Safety, Chapter 8.08 Nuisance. Having been a member of the council in the past, I understand how arduous a task it can be to address this problem. That said, I also know you have the tools and the ability to take the appropriate action, and I thank you in advance for taking on this responsibility as our mayor to lead the effort. I look forward to seeing cleaner streets and alleys throughout Saratoga in the months to come. Sincerely, John Nelson.
Comments or questions? I will say that Emory has addressed a few of these matters under my direction. They've sent certified letters about cleaning up some of their stuff along in the right of ways, and we're waiting on an attorney to help us a little bit more on how we're gonna take action. So that pretty much sums up where we're at, doesn't it, Emory? So, all right, we'll move on to the next item, which is council comments. I do have one comment dealing with the rec center. And the biggest thing is the rec center was set aside for everyone to use equally. I've been getting some complaints to department heads and on the street that people aren't sharing the community center. If you are a member and you use the community center, you must share it with any other member. The only way that the community center is set aside for anything special, you will rent the position, what you want to use. So if you want the whole gymnasium, you will pay an hourly rate to rent that. People need to understand that this is up to the rec department, but if the council has to take action, I will ask the council members to work with me and we'll come up with a schedule. People are forcing our hands and we don't want to do that. We want everybody to use it and share equally. You know, so say you're using the whole gym and you have another group come in who are members and they want to play basketball, you know, you've got to share. You move to half of it and they use the other half. It's got to be done this way. It's the only fair way we can do it. Please, I'm asking the public to please work together on this. Don't make the council make a decision on how that community center is going to be used. I have spoken with the community center board member, Joe Glode, and he's in agreement with what I'm saying. That don't force our hand in doing it. So that's what I have to say on that. Okay, now we'll move on to reports from departments. We have the town hall and we have the third and final reading of the Black Hills Energy Franchise Agreement. Jen?
We have Lori Farkas here tonight. If anybody has any questions, fine.
We can direct them to her.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks for coming again.
And if not, ordinance number 878, ordinance granting to Black Hills Community, oh my goodness, an ordinance granting to Black Hills Wyoming Gas LLC doing business as Black Hills Energy, its successors, and assigns the right, permission, and authority to construct, maintain, and operate a gas transmission and distribution system, including mains, pipes, conduits, services, and other structures in, under, upon, over, across, and along the streets, alleys, bridges, and public places within the present and future corporate limits of the town of Saratoga, Wyoming, for the furnishing, transmission, distribution, and sale of gas, whether artificial, natural, mixed, or otherwise for lighting, heating, domestic, industrial, and other uses in said city, limiting the term of said grant, prescribing the terms and conditions under which said company may operate, and repealing ordinance number 733.
Questions? Concerns? Did we can't remember exactly what it was, but there was something in there that you wanted to get straightened out. Did we get that wording
Yeah.
switched around and everything? Okay. Not, there's no questions or discussion. I will entertain a motion to go ahead and pass this ordinance number 878, Black Hills Energy Franchise Agreement on the third and final reading.
I'll make a motion to pass it.
Do I have a second to pass this motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we pass ordinance 878, Black Hills Energy Franchise Agreement. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. We're back doing things the right way. Okay, we'll move on to the Wyoming Community Gas Project, destination. And every year we get money from, the Wyoming Community Gas Community Project donation. This year we have the amount of $5,983.88. I'd like to direct everybody's attention, how we split it up last year was we split it 5 different ways. We gave the Woods Ball Field some money. We gave the swimming pool some money, the Saratoga Municipal Pool. We gave the Recreation Department some money. We gave the 4-H shooting sports some money because they use only for what they use in a facility over here. We can't donate because the others out in the county, but we can use it for shooting sports. What I cleared to the attorney. And then the drama club, we gave them a portion of the money. How would the council like to proceed further on with it this year? You want to take it under advisement and think about it? Give it to one organization or give it to split at 5? What? It's up to the council.
I'd like to do it the same way, split it evenly between the 5.
I agree, just split it.
Do you have a motion in that effect?
I'll make a motion to pass it.
Okay, so I have a motion to go ahead and split the Wyoming Community Gas Project with of $5,983.88 between the Woods Ball Field, Municipal Swimming Pool, Recreation Department, for shooting sports, and the Drama Club. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Yeah. Okay, we'll move on. Do you have anything else, Jen? Okay, we'll move on to the police department.
Mr. Mayor, Council. And give me her not being able to speak correctly.
Take it.
Since the last meeting on the 21st, police department has received 122 law calls. There's been 1 canine deployment. There was 4 animal complaints, 2 domestics. We had 3 agency assist calls. There was 2 hot pool violations over the weekend with all the people in town from Skidgewarding. We did have an unattended death in town just 2 mornings ago. And there was 6 traffic citations. And then I have a quote from the sheriff for dispatch services. There's a copy of this, didn't make it into the packet. Everyone likes extra paper. Questions about it?
Oh, thank you, sir.
Thanks. You're welcome. This is just one of the options we're looking at. If there ends up being issues with going to a consolidated dispatch or helping to at least centralize some of the dispatch services in the county. This is about the 3rd option, I think, on our list down right now would be going to straight just straight services contracted to the sheriff's office for dispatch. The first page is the email from the sheriff, just explaining what some of the funds would be used for in the dispatch services. It is listed out in the quote also. The total amount is $125,087.62 a year. That includes them hiring another dispatcher, a portion going into overtime, a portion for pay raises, and then a portion for the information technologies. And speaking with the sheriff, if there does end up needing to be any sort of relays or anything for radio equipment to work from up there to down here, he did not include any cost for that, because he feels that'd be able to be absorbed through his E911 funds. If we have to add any microwave relays or anything like that.
Any questions? What Mike and I have done, we're still trying to look at combining everybody in Carbon County. I don't know where that's gonna go. We're still working on that with the sheriff and the chief. It's just hard to get everybody together to come up with something, and so this was another option that we have to do a strict contract, a direct contract with the Carbon County Sheriff's Office. That it's basically for everybody's information and to get it out where we stand. I don't know if a combined dispatch would be any cheaper, maybe more, I don't know. Because we haven't gotten that far along yet. So,
This is a similar contract to what's already been signed by the Fire Protection District and encampment, and those have already signed on, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be very similar to theirs. The encampment one is only encampment PD at this point. And there's a smaller just because Chief Shoe doesn't use much for dispatch services.
Right.
it's just one of the options we're covering. We should know more when we get toward the budget. On where we need to be and what happens in legislation. They're still dealing with some taxation and where they're cutting fees and where they're adding money over there, so. But it's something that needs to be looked at, and we'll move forward with it at a later time. Any questions? Nope.
All right, that's all I have. Does anybody have any other questions for me? All right, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Okay. We got the fire department first, Carter. I know you're in a hurry, buddy. We'll move on to the fire department. You turn to page 36. What this is a contract, and it's for 3 years, and it's for testing their hoses. And it lists out, they get a little price increase each year. It's in their budget. They've had it before. It's just, we need to renew it. They come in once a year and test all the fire department hoses. It's pretty explanatory. It looks like, the first year would be approximately $4,600. The second year would be $4,800. And the third year would be $5,000. So that's where we're setting at. Questions? Do I have a motion to go ahead and have the fire department sign this contract for hose testing?
I'd make the motion that they go ahead and sign it.
Do you have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's all we have from the fire department tonight. Okay, now we'll move on to the recreation department.
Good evening, gentlemen. So I guess the first item I have is, I guess we can call it the proposed schedule for the pool for this upcoming season. Kind of outlines what days will be open, what particular events, whether it be open swim, water aerobics, swim lessons. The only thing that has room for change really is the swim lessons, because we don't know what kind of age groups we're going to receive at first. So that would be the only thing that would fluctuate really on this. And you don't have to look through all 3 months. It's similar each month. You have any questions on it?
Has your board reviewed this?
Yeah, they have looked at it.
Any questions from them?
No, they didn't. I mean, they had questions regarding, so like in the weeks off from swim lessons, because it's going to be like 4 weeks on, 1 week off. And that's, we're going to spend that time basically deep cleaning the whole pool altogether.
That's a great job, Carter. I mean, you're on it and above it.
I don't know if it needs to be, does this need to be voted on, approved, or? It's good. Up to you guys.
Do you want us to approve this one or wait for a little bit longer until you get it?
Yeah, we're
Swim lessons?
we're planning on opening like the signups for swim lessons in March. So that come.
So you will have your schedule done by that time.
Yeah, a lot more solid than this one, yes. Swim lesson wise, at least.
Table it till,
I would say.
table it until he gets his
Till you
schedule
get that.
nailed down completely.
Absolutely.
Have a motion to table it. Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Okay, my next thing here is an AED device for the recreation department.
Where are you gonna use that?
Well, so the plan is to use this one at the rec department, and then the one currently there will kind of go to the pool because the pool doesn't have one.
Okay.
And the one that we have at the rec department, it's got some life left in it, but I think it's been there for 8 years. I would say. Maybe less than 8 years. And I know they do have kind of a.
Shelf life.
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. Kathy, when you were working with them, do you remember, did we have another one at the pool? We never did get one. Okay, I was thinking we did.
Season. Service there. Yeah, we never had one. I think we had one on loan at the gym from the EMS service, I think, that we borrowed one, but we never had an AED.
Well, being to compliance, we almost have to have one.
Correct.
So, you have this money in your budget?
I do. It's gonna go to 3 or 4 different. It's gonna go, this one that's staying at the rec department will go some out of youth sports programs, out of adult programs, and then fitness classes, because eventually all 3 of those things could utilize it.
Rightfully so, it should be split up. The chair would entertain a motion to go ahead and buy this MedTac AED at the price of $1,769.99 for the rec center.
I'd make the motion to purchase it.
Do I have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
Good for me, unless you got any more questions.
how's things going over there?
Got adult volleyball right now. By basketball starts in March.
Is that what's going on tonight? We don't volleyball?
Yes.
Oh, cause there was a lot of cars over there. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks for the job you're doing.
Thank you.
Keep
Yes,
up the good
Roger.
work. Okay, we'll move on to the Department of Public Works, Mr. Emery.
Good evening, Emery.
Good evening, Mike.
How are you?
I am so swell. How are you?
Good.
Happy to be here.
Okay.
So a couple of business items. So we did get a deep eval from the cat shop up in Casper, and I was up there for a pesticide class. I was able to go in and actually look at everything they were seeing, and they crawled all over it. And so they worked up a quote, and that quote that's in the packet, that's front end to back, getting everything up to basically brand new. And some stuff was cheaper to just replace it. The loader buckets were cheaper to replace it than spend umpteen hours welding on them, machining them at their hourly rate. And then the salesman, I had him get an appraiser, get us a trade-in value, and an option on they don't make the 430E anymore. So the next is the 440. And that's kind of the model. Everyone who's had a 430 seems to go to that 440. So there's a used one that we currently have on rent with the 500 hours. There's a quote in there if we wanted to trade our machine in, get that one, or they do have a new one. It's kind of sick. I don't think the option in the middle is probably a real smart move because we got no warranty on it. You're still spending a fat chunk of change. So the one with 500 hours, I think if we were going to buy another one, we'd be better off getting a new one and have a 7-year warranty. the mechanics up there, they were a pretty big proponent of fixing it, in a non-deaf machine. They said overall, yeah, it's tired, but it's in pretty good shape for the hours it has on it. It's hard for me not to. Okay, so if you look at that bottom figure, that's essentially the funds we reserve back to ourselves if we don't purchase a new one. So we'd say we'd have 70,000 back in our own pocket if we choose to repair it instead of move on with the used machine. If we repair it compared to the new one, that's 120,000 we don't have to spend. That money at a later date could be used to buy an additional digging machine. That would long-term take some of the demand off the backhoe. So that's something to think about too. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? You've all been around.
You did have them run oil samples on it?
Yeah, and everything on the engine came back fine. The diffs are a little dirty, so we'll have them change that fluid out while it's up there, but there was nothing. I don't have any symptoms of having a bad head gasket or anything like that. All those came back good. So
I'm kind of in favor of rebuilding myself.
that's the way I'd be lean. That'd probably be my first option. The second one would be to go with the new one. I think spending 120 on the used one with no warranty on it. For the other alternative is the new one for another 20 and you get to 7 years.
How old is this hoe?
This one's a 2009, the one we currently have.
And it's done a lot of digging.
Yeah, if it's $250 a month over the 15 years we've had it, is basically what the repair comes out to. So, and a lot of this stuff, it's not like it happened overnight. If we would have, say 7 or 8 years ago, we would have done a little bit. We wouldn't be at this point. So, I mean, anytime in the equipment world, it's going to depreciate over time. We've just chosen to take our big chunk we've had to put in it all at one go round. So.
What do you guys think?
I think it'd be a smart move to fix it and maybe look toward something else also later.
Okay.
That's.
Another machine, you mean?
Maybe a track machine. Is what I think.
Yeah.
I think once they use a track machine for a little while, they wouldn't go back the other way, but it's just my big stuff.
You want to put that in the form of a motion?
It's your job.
No. Oh, I can't, I don't make motions.
Can say it, Chuck, and then Jerry can say so.
Okay.
Yep.
But
Say no.
I have a motion to go ahead and rebuild the backhoe at the price of $48,953.71.
And that's max. That was quoted like once because they won't 100% know how much till they take the thing apart. But so he just quoted it. It could come in, he's like, it could be $7,000-8,000 less than that, but
Or less.
he said it'd be less. This is
Yeah.
the worst case.
We'll hold him to the top dollar anyway. Do I have a second to Mr. Flitter's motion?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. They probably just been waiting for us.
I just talked to the guy before I come in here.
Oh, did you? Okay.
So down the heaters down at the hot pool, since I've got here, we have been trying to baby them and Graybo's been working on them and messing with the amperage and they're just not working. You don't know why they keep popping off. So we're down there constantly messing with them. So talking to Graybo and me and Eugene, we, moving to a different type of heater and just getting away from that model. So we don't know if it's in the wiring or what it is. So abandoning basically that circuit and putting new heaters in that are up off the ground. And also the plus would be where the current heaters are and makes it problematic for installing stall doors, which we would like to do at some point. So if we could get new heaters, one, we'd have reliable heaters, and two, we could do some stall door improvements. And this is heater for the swimming pool, the maintenance building, and the men's and women's room. So it's getting rid of all those current ones and replacing them with new heaters that we believe will be more reliable and better for the application. And so we'll pull those ones off and probably either grout those holes in or get a, something very aesthetically pleasing. to cover those holes up, but I don't know what else to do with them. We can't.
Is it the moisture?
Maybe, but I mean, or something in the wiring that it's not liking, but Don's had problems with them when I got here and we've been, we thought we'd turn and getting them adjusted was gonna be the ticket and after a week, they were off.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've had to close them. And because things were froze up inside.
Well, yeah, and part of that too is they had something freeze up in the ceiling, the water line broke, whatever, but it's just when it's 5 below, people don't like to go in there when they're not working.
Nothing like 5 below.
So his quote is, Gribel's quote for parts and material is $8,350. Questions on that amount? Do I have a motion to go ahead and let's install some new heaters over at the hot pool? We do have the money in the budget.
Yeah.
And that way they can proceed a little further. They're gonna do a little bit of cleanup over there, repaint some stuff, but they wanna get the heaters in first. Do I have a motion to go ahead and approve this invoice from Grable on doing the work for $8,350?
I'll make the motion to proceed with it.
Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That would be a quote from, that would be the agreement with Black Diamond Electric, not, but so, all right, got your heaters, buddy.
Cool. Okay, kind of a little update on some stuff. So on the water side, we resubmitted with the state for the intended use plan for some funding to do a potholing project at a future date to affirm our lead and copper unknowns. That was due at the end of January, so we did put in for just to make sure we're still on that list. So if we ever do want to submit an application for that, because we will have to do that at some point. But me and Craig, we kind of talked. There might be a benefit to not being the first fish to try and jump in the bowl on that go around with the new administration in and the EPA changing their requirements for what the verification requirements are going to be. We want to be on the list, but we might wait to see how the next few months kind of transpire before we put it. I don't want to spend $800,000 potholing and in 6 months we come to find out that we probably only needed to spend $700, and I highly doubt we're going to get a refund check. But we are covered there, so at a later date we can do that. Water tank options, still bouncing those around, keeping that on the radar. And then looking at a plan and profile possibly for the Elm Street line, the old 4-inch line that goes from River Street all the way up to right there by the school. But really hard not to just start digging on that right now. It's old, it needs done. So we're looking at hopefully some options. We just need enough of a plan and a profile to get a permit from DEQ, and then we could work on that when we can. Sewer side, the SLIB meeting, State Land and Investment Board meeting for the sewer line project across the river. That'll be in Cheyenne on Thursday. I'll be at that. We had a preliminary design meeting for the sewers up on the West Bench last week with EA and myself and Chuck and Brandon. That went really well. We got some questions answered. We got a little bit of cameraing to do, but they're moving right along on that. So hopefully we'll probably get that bit out here later this spring and hopefully be replacing those, later this summer, this fall. So that'll be good. Get rid of those stair steps in there and some of that old plastic and clay line that's no good. The airport lift station, that's on order. We'll start getting on that early spring, get that done as soon as we can, and jet rodding some sewers around town for kind of the bigger sewer items. The parks, WLC is working on the grant we got, the LCWF funding that we received for that project over there's got a lot of peculiars with what's required in your contract and your procurement documents because of the federal funding side of it. So Jason went through all that, and they actually did a project with the city of Mills recently where they used that. So he is aware of everything we've got to have in our contract for the second phase of that park. So we'll be putting that package together here in the near future. I got a meeting with him tomorrow. Mowing contract is currently advertising, so hopefully we'll have some bids in on that by the end of the month, so we can get that lined out and awarded. Grant applications are coming up with weed and pest, so we'll be getting those lined out and in, so we can hopefully get some funding there. And yeah, that's public works questions.
I think you covered.
Okay. Try not to be unnecessarily long-winded. One other thing I was gonna do on the planning and zoning, I guess it doesn't really matter. We talked about the Brownsfield assessment on the old property over here last fall, and we had a lot going on, and I kind of wanted to put it off. This spring, I would, as Cindy is, she's available. I would like to have her come in from the state and just talk to you guys about it, maybe the latter part of March. You guys have a problem with that? You can ask questions. She can convey the program better than I can of what our options would be there. So I'll get a date as soon as I find out from her when she can get over here. I'll let you guys know and ahead of time if that works. And we can planning commission. You guys don't have any questions? Okay. We got 2 letters of interest. We currently do have 2 openings on the planning board. McCall, I believe Matt was he interested in?
I thought he was gonna resubmit a letter.
But I don't know if he was waiting on us on the term.
Just to update the bylaws, so he was interested in renewing for 2 years, he didn't really want to commit to a whole another 5 years. Thing, and that's kind of what started this whole discussion on should we adjust the term lengths on the planning commission. And so maybe he was waiting until he got the bylaws read. But his position hasn't been advertised, correct, or has it?
No, we haven't advertised
So
it yet. We
these are
could,
both for the one that's been advertised, that was.
yeah, that would be my guess. So we could fill one of them and then advertise the other one in kind of conjunction while we talk about updating the term lengths. Would be, I think, the thing to do.
Do you wanna update the term first or go ahead and appoint somebody? Because if we appoint them right now, they're gonna be for.
Yeah, maybe we could update the term. If you guys are good with updating the terms, maybe we do that first, and then once that's updated, we could deal with appointments. At that point.
You know, I think that may be some of the problem in getting people to volunteer is because when they do volunteer, it's for 5 or 6 years. And if somebody remembers to tell them they're expired and everything, so what they proposed, do you want to read their proposal on the terms?
Yeah, so number 20, we talked about that at the last meeting, and it's kind of what we bounced around. And so I drafted this ordinance. I sent it off to Kylie. She said it's all kosher. We still gotta have staggered membership because we don't want to lose everybody all at one time. And having the shorter term limits, so we would have 3 years terms and 2-year terms. So you'd have 3 people at 2-year terms and 4 people at 3-year terms. And then also with the shorter terms, I think we'd have less people leaving halfway through a term. And I think that's part of why we had such a hard time keeping track of, because half the people who were always on the board were filling somebody else's term out. And so I know we finally got that all straightened out. So hopefully that would eliminate that, but.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but half the people that's come on have come on to finish somebody's term.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never, so.
Yeah, I think she, I don't even know if I am, I don't remember. I think she is the only one who's officially been appointed to a full 5-year term.
Yeah.
Everyone else was appointed to fill
Somebody
open
else's.
seats.
Yeah.
So.
Why couldn't you do all 2-year terms and just stagger them?
We could, where we already have people on there. We just looked at how long people had already been there, and then come up with would be basically half of what we have now would be the 3 years, and then the other half would be 2s.
And we also kind of wanted to encourage some longer terms, just because the planning commission, especially, there's a lot of just gained knowledge as you're there, and so I think encouraging some of those seats to stick around for 3 years. And 2 year seems kind of short, but I understand And the level of some people, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it takes,
Why couldn't you go another 2 years when your 2 years is done?
Yeah.
well, you could, yeah, I mean, you could continue to,
Yeah. There's not a limit on them.
Either way, you're gonna have some overlap.
Yeah.
yeah, and if we would do the 2 years, we just need to, I just have to work that, so it.
Well, we got time. To me, if we're gonna change the term limit, we need to put these two letters on hold for a little bit. You know, we can send them back a message saying, hey, we appreciate this, we're changing it, so you don't have to spend so much time. Give them a notice, but go ahead and pass this ordinance on the first reading. You said Kylie had approved that?
Yeah,
I would go ahead and pass it on the first reading, and we got two readings to change the term. That would be my suggestion. Council in favor of that?
Do you have another meeting between?
yeah, we have one,
Next council meeting?
we have one next week, we have another planning meeting next
So
week.
you'd have time to make those adjustments.
You got, I mean, what do we want, do we want to do 2-year terms?
I would like to hear from the planning commission on that, on whether they want to do 2-year terms, or I can kind of see both ways, but I see where Jerry's coming from too. You know, why just not make them all 2 years? Because every one of them staggered to a degree, correct?
You're gonna have, you can only stagger so much when you have 2-year terms. So you're gonna have half the people leave 1 year and half the people leave the next year.
That is true. And really,
Unless
first
they,
year, you're spending your whole time trying to figure out what the ordinance really says.
yeah.
I mean, the planning commission didn't have any issues with 3-year terms, having variable ones.
Well, it sounds a lot better than 5.
Yeah, that would seem, that's what they were, when we had the discussion, that's kind of what I based that off of what we were talking about was having. Because it's 3 years, a lot of people, they weren't, all 3 years is okay, but like we got that 5-year point and they were like, everybody currently on there was not excited about the number 5.
I would think the 2 and 3 year, part of them 2, part of them 3.
Term limits on other boards. Any consistency across.
Because I think the rec board, what, 3 years or 4 years?
I think it's 4 on the rec board.
I don't know.
I think it is, isn't it?
I don't know.
I think it did. I think that's what they just redid their bylaws a little bit and it's in the attorney's hands right now. We'll have to double check that, McCall.
You're on your.
The airport board.
Yeah, it's staggered.
You know how long their terms are for?
Let's say, I thought that one of them was 5, but it's not here.
Can't say for sure either.
But it's definitely staggered and I would say that, with all the boards and everything that I've been on, it is better to have like a 3 and a 2. Because if you do 2, it's like what you said, the first year, you're just hanging on, trying to figure out what you're doing. And I think that a 3-year term, you have that knowledge base still. And the other ones, it's kind of the same way you have 2-year seats and 4-year seats for the council.
Correct.
So
Correct.
and some boards are more painful than others. I mean, that's probably like planning would be good to have 3, but rec might want to be on for 4.
Yeah. Well, my suggestion is we read this ordinance by title, pass it on the first reading. The next meeting, you'll have time to say whether you want to go 2 or 4.
Well, then we'll take this and talk about it further next week too, and just make
Yeah.
sure there's.
So this one's got 3 and 2 on it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
4 members are 3-year terms and 3 members are 2-year terms. So, would you read this ordinance on the first reading? Just by title.
Got it, if you want me to read it.
It's volunteering.
I
Go
got it.
ahead, Jen, go ahead.
Ordinance number 879, an ordinance amending Title II, Chapter 2.16, Section 2.16.010 of the Town of Saratoga Municipal Code concerning the planning commission term limits, and to provide an effective date.
Do I have a motion to go ahead and pass ordinance number 879 with term limits? Basically is the change of the ordinance, term limits.
Yeah.
For the planning zone.
I would make the motion to pass ordinance 879.
I'll second it.
Do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, first reading. Now, back up just a little bit to the letters of interest. We have 2 letters of interest. Should we reach out to them since we changed the term limits? I think they, actually, we can only go with one because we haven't advertised for the other one, or pick one between these 2. But to me, we should notify them.
Yeah, we should, I think we'll reach out to them and let them know, hey, we're in the middle of altering the process a little bit. Just give us a little bit of time until we get this knuckled down a little bit further and then, but we really appreciate you guys, because we do appreciate them taking the time to submit it, but
I think that would be,
delay more confusion. It's easier, because I think when this goes, I guess the word is live, we'll have to say, Johnny is the term ending 2027. We'll have to basically reestablish who's in what term with the current members. So I would want to have that discussion with them before we put the new people on, so we know what actual terms are going to be available.
I think that would be the thing to do. We can reach out to them. Okay.
Can we read the letters?
We'll get, Emery will bring them to your next meeting so you can read them. One is from, individual by the name of Heidi Larson. And the other one is from Tana Davy. So we will share the names of the people that are interested, and then you guys can read their letters. Anybody can, it's all public knowledge, but since we're not gonna appoint them tonight, then we won't read them in open meeting. So.
Okay, number 21, ordinance 880. So we've spent the last year going through the subdivision ordinance, which is Title 17, which with the process of dividing land in town. Okay, we're not changing any setbacks with this ordinance rewrite. We're not changing requirements for accessory buildings. It's specifically to clarify the requirements when you do a subdivision, how many public hearings you've got to have, whether or not you have to do the park. We took all the muddiness out of that caused questions, and then this developer's got doing this and this developer's doing that. We feel like we updated, the utilities a little bit and specified those a little more on the water and sewer. But when you come in, me as a staff, them as the commission, the developer can't have all these gray area discussions about what they're supposed to do. That's why we went through that. And that's what that deals with. So we're not recharacterizing, we're not rezoning, anything like that. But I think it's a super useful document. Planning and Zoning Commission did a great job. We spent a lot of time on it. We had a public hearing. We didn't have anybody really show up. You guys are more than welcome to hold your own public hearing on that. In fact, I might recommend just to give it a second public opportunity. To that, you guys take the time to read through it. I don't recommend we pass it on the first reading tonight or anything like that. I just want to introduce the planning zoning has made a recommendation for you guys to adopt it. But I would like you guys to read through it. If you got any questions, let me know. If you guys want to have a public hearing on this at the next meeting, just to give that second opportunity. Jerry's nodding.
I'm saying yes.
Yes.
Wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah.
No, I probably wouldn't. I was lucky enough to put was able to sit with them through all of this and actually working both sides of it, until we got Emery hired on. It was something. I mean, you really didn't know how to do a subdivision for the ordinance. And now it's in order where it's step by step by step. So a planning commission can look at it and go, okay, this step here isn't working here. You're gonna have
Well, and we referenced it, spent a lot of time referencing one section to another, the C section, blah, 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 blah. So if you had to do something that was in another place, you could look and go, okay, well, we need to go to section 17 or whatever. And we did, actually, I don't want to say nobody showed up, but we did have some of the realtors show up and they had a comment and question about the fiber. And it was a good inquiry. And so instead of, so what if fiber is not available at the time? Well, we just say, hey, just put a duct in. So if they ever do get fiber up there, we don't have to mess with the road or the alley and they can just pull it in there. So we did have somebody come and they did have a good input and we did address that. So I do want to say that.
There was a lot of, and it all stemmed from the Scott subdivision and what it was. That was a lot of it, but it needed fixed and I gotta hand it to the planet. I mean, this took a little bit of time. It just didn't happen in a one meeting. So
next meeting, we'll plan on public hearing,
yes,
6 o'clock, 5:30.
5:30.
5:30.
Okay. And then we'll open the meeting at 6. Eileen said I can do either way, but I like the 5:30.
Okay. All right. That's all I got on that. And then we're gonna start looking at a few sections of Title 18. We're probably not gonna do an overhaul like we did on this one, because that whole title was a process in itself. So it needed to be formatted and relined out. 18's just got some things that we need to clarify a little bit better, so we don't have as many gray areas in that. So we're looking at that a little bit. And then you guys have any plans or any questions?
Nope.
Joint Powers Board, we haven't had a meeting. We got one next week. Not a ton on there.
Their ordinance will be coming before long, won't it?
Yeah, so they had some edits and stuff to the water and sewer ordinance, clarifying things like ownership, like who owns what part of the line, yada, yada. And then I wrote the ordinance involving their changes and I've got those off to Kylie. So you'll be getting those pretty quick too.
Any questions for Emery?
Thanks, Emery.
Thanks, Emery. Okay, we'll move on to the Community Center Joint Powers Board. And I'm glad you're here, Kathy. I need to ask a question. Did you when you were on the council, did you take that upon yourself or do they actually want a liaison?
It's not written in the bylaws that there's a town representative there. I joined as a member and was appointed secretary and then later took Ben's position on the town.
Correct.
And so I stepped into that position or like I was here anyway, so I reported on it. But technically, no representation is required, but it's well funded. If somebody wants to come and
Okay. Do you have anything you would like to share with us tonight from that board?
We just went through all of our budget reviews and we're going through regular scheduling. So same idea, check out the community center website if you're interested in seeing what's upcoming for events.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. Their next meeting is February 10th, 2025 at 4:30 PM at the Platte Valley Community Center. Okay. We'll move on to Recreation Commission. And Mr. Barker.
We had our meeting last night. There was quite a bit of discussion still with pickleball, which you addressed earlier. And then we did have Nick Adderley in. He's still holding the money that he's gathered up to possibly build the rec center in town. I believe he said he had 10 million gathered up, right? That's what he has. We did have 2 people from Brush Creek that we're going to look at possibly donating also to hopefully push this thing forward. that was pretty much it. Do we need to read this letter of interest from Cody
Yeah.
Burdette?
Yeah, do you want to read it or do you want me to have the clerk read it?
Rather the clerk read it.
Okay.
Subject letter of interest from the Saratoga Recreation Board, to whom it may concern. I am writing to express my interest in serving on the Saratoga Recreation Board. I believe that my background and passion for community service make me a suitable candidate for this position. I'm committed to enhancing recreational opportunities for all residents of Saratoga. I understand the importance of providing diverse activities that promote health, wellness, and community engagement. I'm eager to contribute my ideas and support initiatives that will benefit our community. Thank you for considering my application. I look forward to the opportunity to discuss how I can further the mission of the Saratoga Recreation Board. Sincerely, Cody Burdette.
And that is the only position we have open right now, and that's the only person we've had submit a letter of interest for that position.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I've spoken with the rec commission about it. They're all 100% on board with.
Okay. Well, at this time, I'll appoint Cody Burdette to the Saratoga Recreation Board. Do I have a motion confirming this?
I'll make the motion.
That we appoint Cody Burdette to the Recreation. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything else, Bub?
Nope, that's it.
Hand in the back there.
These loud ladies in the back. To circle back to, there was some discussion about the aquatic center and discussing the donors, and Nick Hatterley did make the point that it potentially could go a long way with seeking donors if the town could revisit the lease agreement that was discussed, I think, a few years ago, and it kind of fell through. I wasn't on the aquatic board at that time, so I don't know the details of it, but for Nick to be going to donors, he struggles with the commitment from the town and other entities, not just the town. But he said it potentially could go a long way. Say, yes, the town, we have set up this 99-year lease and the town has, agreed to give us this land, and it's just one step forward in having some support and commitment from the town as a whole. And I think there's a clause in the lease agreement that said if the thing doesn't get built in 3 years, then this lease is void. And
Right.
so you guys don't really lose anything by doing that, but maybe if we could take that lease back up. I know Nick had mentioned that Kylie had looked at it and it all had been approved, and I don't remember exactly why it got tabled I think there was some change of leadership on
I
it.
was thinking that Nick backed away from it a little bit after he come to the town and there were some certain questions. I remember visiting with him one time at the town meeting, but until he got more money. I would be open to have somebody from that board or something come back to the town and ask specifically on what land they wanted, where they wanted it, what it was gonna entail.
That should already be in the lease agreement. From my understanding, it was already in the lease agreement. And that was, you're still within that window of that 3 years, correct? With the agreement that's already been,
Well, nothing got officially
Nothing
signed.
it didn't get signed,
Nothing
okay.
got officially signed.
Okay.
I think this was Nick.
And that was my misunderstanding then,
Yes.
because I was under the understanding that it had already been signed.
Was
Okay.
that is a step that the town could take moving forward.
And
I don't remember.
correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys are both on that board, correct?
Yes.
Yeah,
But we-
that's what I
we've
understood last
joined in the last year and a half. 2 years.
Well, my only thing is, I don't remember ever seeing this lease agreement.
I never saw.
I'm gonna have,
When it came, maybe it was when he was still here. So, but Nick had just asked maybe if the town council could revisit that, and that should kind of.
And Kylie has, didn't he say that Kylie has a copy of that agreement?
He said that the attorney had reviewed it.
I don't think Kylie would have a copy of it because I've never seen a copy. It would have had to been,
Prior.
past, yeah. Let me see if I can come up with the agreement.
And if
and
not,
get it
I'm
out
sure
to
we could reach
council.
out to Nick. and
Yeah, if
get it.
not, I'm sure Nick can send us over one, because I'd like to read.
We can print off another copy and bring it in at the next meeting and review any questions or anything.
There was definitely a lot of interest last night in what Nick had to say, and then for Brush Creek to send, you know, 2 people in as well.
So Fresh Creek has a foundation, and a lot of what they have done is rec centers, YMCA's, a lot in the Midwest. And they apparently were recently looking into creating a rec center for their employees at the ranch, and they decided that kind of wasn't really feasible, but they're looking for ways to improve their quality of life for their employees just for retention rates. And so when they heard that this project was kind of happening in town, I think that perked some interest that, okay, maybe we can partner with the momentum that's already being built.
Yes.
So it's not the actual like White lodging, but Bruce and Beth White have a
Foundation.
and they're the ones who are potentially interested.
And we also have 2 sitting board members on the rec board that work for Brush Creek. So.
So there's potential for kind of some more, a re-up of some momentum. It had kind of veered off in the last year. And so there's potential for some momentum, and so.
In this lease agreement, is the land that they want to lease, is
City
it
land,
identified so we know where it's at?
Town land, yeah.
Okay.
Interlibrary and.
the high school.
So it's that land where we have.
And there was also some discussion. We actually had a school board member here. And I know Nick had reached out to the school board to see if they would possibly be able to use some of their funds yearly to help facilitate the maintenance and stuff. And the way Nick has it laid out, there's a 30-year, I believe it was it 50? Maintenance agreement in, so that there would be money sitting in an account, an endowment to help cover the costs for maintenance and everything, operation costs. He's got a really well laid out plan that I would really love for him to be able to come to the town with it again, or the council with it again. I was very impressed with the plan that he put together and the amount of thought that went into not just the here and now, but future and how to make it sustainable. Because he's taken a lot of other places that have done this and kind of learned from their mistakes, what they did wrong, what they did right, and tried to implement those into his plan. So, like I said, I would love to have him and come and give his spiel to this council, because I was very impressed with what he had to say.
Okay. Let's come up with the lease. We'll get it out to each council member so they know exactly where it's at, and we'll move forward from there. Sound favorable?
But,
All right, anything else, Bub?
Nope.
Okay, we'll move on to the Saratoga Airport Advisory Board. D-Ron, do you have anything?
We have a meeting next week, so there's been nothing currently.
Okay. All right. And then the South Central Wyoming Emergency Medical Service. I have nothing tonight. Their next meeting is February 17th, 6 p.m. in Hannah. Is there any new business to be brought before the council? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
I'll make the motion to adjourn this meeting.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?